PANDIYAT-I JAWANMARDI. Translation. In the name of God, the Merciful, the Compassionate. Scribe's Prefatoral Note. This book, full of wisdom and mercy, the PANDIYAT-I JAWANMARDI, i.e., advices of manliness, contains only the farmans, instructions, mercifully bestowed by Maulana Imam Mustansir Billah alayhi salam II, Maulana the Imam at the time of his Imamat appointed this book as his proof, Hujjat, in the community of his followers. He, Maulana, only be sufficient for us. Copied from an old manuscript coming from Tung in the abode of Khilafat, Sarikul, which on account of its antiquity has lost some lines at the beginning and the end. Eternally Ameen. Coming to the substance, let it not be hidden from the luminous minds of those who tread the path of Maulana Ali Murtaza alayhi salam that the author, the servant of the exalted Imam of the time, Shah Mustansir Billah, says, "Whenever I was privileged to be present at any assembly or gathering or meeting at which the Imam preached the advices of manliness, addressing these and his other instructions to the community of the faithful and followers, I noted down all that he was pleased to utter concerning the religious commandments and prohibitions, the high moral qualities and manners of speaking and living, necessary for human dignity, religiousness, worship, also the duties which should lead to advantage in life in this world, and 2. Bliss in the hereafter. I have arranged these for the purpose of being used as the means of salvation for those who listen to them and act according to what they have heard. I have given this book the title Pandiyat Advices, and it is divided into great advice, 2 small advice, and 12 principles of manliness. Know that our Lord the Imam of the time, Maulana Shah Mustansir Billah alayhi salam, uttered with his blessed mouth, "The real believer mu'min is one who puts aside properly and correctly the tithe of his gains, mal, which forms the property of the Imam of the time, and hands it over to the latter. The rule, Qanun, must be followed that he should divide into 10 parts every gain and every form of income, Manafi wa Mudakhil, which he receives from that which God the All-High gives to his slaves in the way of subsistence and daily bread, and one of those 10 parts belongs to the Imam. He must take out that portion and submit it to the abode of the King of mankind, Maulana Murtaza Ali alayhi salam, the Imam who is living and present, delivering it complete, Kamil." The real believer, mu'min, is one who from the observance of the rules of Shariat arrives at the following of the rules of Tariqat, and from the latter to Hakikat, which is the real inner meaning, batin, of Shariat. Shariat may be compared to a candle, Tariqat to the path, and Hakikat to the destination, manzil. One must strive to walk along the correct path, lit by the candle, and reach the abode, khana, of Hakikat. The foundation of Hakikat is to recognize the Imam. The purpose, maqsood of everything is its inner meaning, batin, which forms its real substance, jawhar, its essence and sweetness. Therefore, the ultimate purpose of Shariat, introduced by the Prophet, was its inner meaning, batin, which was haqiqat, i.e., the recognition of the Imam of the time. The real believer, mu'min, is one who is a man, JAWANMARD, i.e., he who, throughout the whole year of 12 months, acts properly and piously, continuously remembering the truth, haq. He must speak the truth, listen to the truth, must abide in truth, and walk in truth. His heart must be cleaned and his thoughts sincere. He must remain clean. The real believer is one whose self, nafs, is true, who does not follow evil nor pursue what is unlawful. The real believer is one who possesses the eye which sees truth, who looks at what is lawful haq to him and does not cast his eyes on what is unlawful to him, such as the property or wives of others. The real believer is one whose word is true, who does not use bad language, does not slander nor abuse anybody, and does not do to anyone what he does not want to be done to himself. The real believer is one whose word is one, straight, not ambiguous. The real believer in one who never breaks his promise, whose promise always sincere and reliable, who always remains faithful to the covenant with God, into which he has entered. The real believer is one who eats what he has the right to eat and not what he has no right to eat, being content with his lot, never coveting anything to which he has no right. He will never put any morsel of food which is unlawful to him, Nagmah-yi haram, into his mouth, thereby polluting it. The real believer is one who is sincere, who never nurses anger and hatred in his heart, who is neither irritable nor rash, and keeps his heart pure and sincere. The real believer is one who is pious and sincere by heart, whose actions are not crooked, who has no designs on the property or wives of others, and who abstains from stretching out his hand for what is unlawful to him. The real believer is one who keeps himself away from other men's wives and does not go to them. Whosoever goes to someone else's wife is like a man who goes to his own mother. And whosoever makes a design on someone else's wife is like a man who makes design on his own mother. If he looks upon others with a bad look, i.e., coveting eye, he will bring on himself what he is doing to others. According to what thou hast done, and by what path thou hast gone, thou wilt have to return. And what thou hast done to others, thou wilt see that done to thyself. The real believer is one whose feet always tread the path of truth, who walks along it with sincerity and righteousness, never coveting the property or wives of others. The real believer is one who is entirely righteous, in the sense that he speaks the truth, listens to the truth, walks along the path of truth, sits down in truth, and rises in truth. The real believer is one who clearly distinguishes truth from untruth, false, and what is lawful to him from what is unlawful, separating the two. The real believer is one who does not laugh because laughter comes from negligence. It is the form, surat of the devil. Laughter at an improper moment is an unlawful act. Laugh when thou hast found salvation from death, when thou hast heard the announcement of the attainment of truth. Wisali haq. Therefore, how can one laugh who has death in store for him? Of what use is a laugh in the moment of neglect? Of what value that joy after which comes sorrow? What can be gained from the moment of rest followed by annihilation? The real believer is one who always remembers truth or God, who always weeps and groans either from fear of retribution or from the passionate longing for truth. Shauki likai haq. The real believer is one who, before everything, must remember God, his Lord, Khudawand, wherever he may be, or with whatever he may be preoccupied. He must always remember God, the merciful, must always think of truth, treating the wives and daughters, yal of others, as his own sisters. The real believer is one who always remembers, thinks of and recognizes the exalted Lord, Khudawandi Zul Jalal, fearing the advent of the day of resurrection, who realizes the terror of that day and is afraid of it. The real believer is one who is afraid of the day of resurrection, when God, Haq, will demand of him the account of his sins, and who, before that day of settlement, keeps an account of his sins every day himself. The real believer is one who every moment remembers his inevitable death, seeing his resurrection day near and fearing it. The real believer is one who fears God, feels ashamed before him, who will not say anything impious and will not neglect the truth. The real believer is one who knows of the hereafter and remembers his impending death. The real believer is one who always acts according to the commandments and injunctions of God. The real believer is one who always feels that the all-forgiving Lord is present before him and sees him that he is just here, nearer to him than his own self. The real believer is one who always sees his God present before him, no matter with what he may be preoccupied and busy at the moment. The real believer is one who knows his God, who follows the path of truth, and whose heart and word remain in agreement. The real believer is one who always frequents the society of the true believers and the pious, listening to words of knowledge and learning them. The real believer is one who treats himself as if already dead, regarding himself as non-existent, neist, and placing every limb of his person at the will, farman of God the All-High, in full sincerity and truth from head to foot. The real believer is one who sees his own sins, fears them, and repents of them. The real believer is one who is patient, diligent, taciturn, saying little rather than talkative. The real believer is one who is always patient, speaks the truth, abstains from evil actions, is pious, clean and pure-hearted, and does not nurse an ill will. The real believer is one who realizes his own position and state, who does not forget these, who does not forget about the agonies of death and the bitterness of the moment when the soul shall part with the body, who is afraid of the tortures of the future and of the answers to be given to the questions of Munkar and Nakir. The real believer is one who knows and recognizes the Imam Mahdi Abdullah alayhi salam, who is the Lord of the time, knowing that he is present in the world. He must search for him, find him, see him and recognize him. He must bring and hand over what is due to him, as the tithe, being affectionate to him. The real believer is one who continually remembers God, Haq, and whose tongue does not utter anything without mention of God. Hakikati-Mo means own self. O faithful ones, O sincere ones, whoever has a pure heart without anger, he is constantly remembering and thinking of God, Haq. His tongue is constantly praising God. The true slave of God is one who is fearing God continually, weeps and groans, feeling humble and miserable. Surely his sins will fall from him, just as the snow falls from the skies and becomes water from the warmth of the sun. So whoever fears resurrection, his sins will disappear in a like way. But he who talks improperly, thoughtlessly, and not to the point, or utters abuse, talks nonsense, mocks, is careless, or discusses the qualities and defects of others' wives, or stares at the wives or daughters, ayal, of other people, or falls in love with another's wife, or, if it be a woman, falls in love with a man who is not lawful to her to see, then may we implore the help of God from God's wrath. All that man in the course of the whole of his life earned by prayers, namaz, and worship, ibadat, all that he earned by pious actions, all this will be given up, thrown to the wind of non-existence. All will be lost. It will be as in the case of one who in the middle of clean food finds excrements of a mouse or other impurity which has fallen in, thus polluting the whole dish. God the All-High will be displeased and dissatisfied with such a man. His prosperity will be ruined, and he himself will have to live by begging, in distress, misery, and despair. Both in this world and the hereafter, he will be surrounded by darkness and obscurity. He will have to suffer in the hereafter the punishment of hell, being burnt by eternal fire. It is because of evil actions and steps that the majority are always miserable, aggrieved, homeless, and that in the hereafter they are humiliated and placed in hell. The real believer is one who is always patient, pious, sincere and truthful, clean in his beliefs and modest, whose heart is full of the fear of God, who is free from wrath and hatred and is pure. In his every action he sees his Lord, Khudawand, present before him, always remembering God. Every slave of God who acts in this way will receive in this world splendor and affluence, and in the hereafter he will be in paradise, in the presence of his Lord, Mawla-i Khud, Murtaza Ali alayhi salam. The real believer is one whose words, Ikrar wa Qawl, are unshakable and true, Haq, whose thoughts of the heart are true, whose promise, whose love and affection are true. From head to foot, that slave of God must be sincere and true, Haq. He must be sweet-worded and mild. His soul, ruh, must be sincere. He must be continually preoccupied with the remembrance of God, zikr, always remaining in meditation and zikr, and praise of God, lauding and recognizing God, the All-High. Shenakti Haq Ta'ala. His actions must be pious, his behavior proper. He must carry out the commandments and injunctions of his Lord Khudawand and Pir. He must keep on his tongue the mention of the 5 holy persons, Panjtan, mentioning and glorifying God with great affection. He recognizes his master, Aka, the Supreme Lord. Sahibul Amr, the Imam of the time, follows his path, always remaining obedient and listful to him, delivering himself, his affairs, and everything that he possesses to the Lord, Mawla, who is the Imam of the time and the Lord of the world and of all who inhabit it. The real believer is one who will count the proceeds of his every affair, his commercial transactions, his food and his goods in stock, separating 1/10 as his dues, mali wajibat. Then he, with true faith and perfect affection, with full sincerity, affectionately and lovingly, must deliver that tithe into the presence of the Imam of the time. If he delivers this in pure, true and strong faith, he will see both the affluence in this world and bliss in the hereafter. God, the All-High, will be pleased by him. When he has delivered the dues to his Lord, Khudawand, this will serve as the sign and mark of his faithfulness. Mu'mini, his obedience and religious sincerity, ikhlasikishi. Such a person must be patient, sincere, pious, truthful, clean, modest, and humble as a dervish, regarding himself as nothing and feeling sinful from top to toe. He must not be selfish nor proud, nor self-centered nor egoistic. The real believer is one who does not hold hatred in his heart, who always thinks of God. His heart and word are one, and he is perpetually in harmony and love with all believers. He always thinks of the hereafter, learns wisdom day in and day out, keeping his feet fast on the path of truth. He will not find the path of God the All-High narrow, and will not be aggrieved by what happens to him on the road of truth. He will be neither ungrateful nor lazy, but with full enthusiasm will busy himself with the acts of piety. Every day his religious love and zeal will increase. Every day his moral and other qualities, his words and acts will improve, and every day his safety will be more perfect, as in the case of a patient whose recovery from illness daily proceeds till he becomes sound. He will always remain keen on his path of truth. He will deplore his sins and laugh little, keeping himself away from vain and devilish laughter, but looking always towards God. He will continuously remember God and the day of resurrection, weeping much and fearing that day. He will remember his Imam, the Lord of the time, all-forgiving God and his Pir. He will always follow the instruction of the Pir, so that on the day of resurrection that Pir, O believers, will answer his appeal for help, as nobody else will plead his excuses. O believers, O pious ones, the real believer is one who becomes as humble as earth under the feet of the believers of pious and pure men. Such a believer is sincere and genuine. Such a believer will attain the truth, Haq. Truth is with him and it will never abandon him. O believers, O sincere people, matters, are easy for devotees on these conditions which they must fulfill. Thus, religious devotion and love, ashiki wa ishq of God, the All-High, is easy for the believer and is full of spiritual pleasure. Love for God is easy and delightful to the believer. The Creator has made love of Himself the share of the pure. But for the negligent ones and those who are spoilt by negligence, Giflat Zadagan, it is extremely difficult and hard. The negligent reserve their love for things of this world, each one going after something. Illusory attractions which one conceives in passions and carnal pleasures or natural enjoyments are not love, but merely the source of death, a kind of illness. To conceive such love means to be finally drawn to hell. The one who really wants to see the Creator and is enamored, filled with the idea of his didar, receives from God his zikr thrown into his heart and word. The mind of such a devotee will be turned always towards the truth. O believers, the path to God, Haq, is the straight road, Siratul Mustaqim. This means the recognition, ma'rifat, of the Imam of the time. His leadership is the right path. So far as you can try by every means to follow that right path in order to attain the goal of truth, Manzili Hakikat, which is the recognition of the Imam of the time. Strive to perfect your devotion and faith, Deen wa Iman, when you are still young, and arrive at the coveted spring of water, because towards the end of your life you may become overpowered with greed, while reason may become weakened. You may then become greedy for pleasures of this world, neglecting religious matters. Therefore, comprehend this and fulfill it now if you can. If you cannot comprehend it, then what is the use of trying? O believers, God save us from neglect. Neglect of the truth is a calamity. So far as you can, do not neglect remembering God, Haq. Do not be lazy in remembering God, the All-High. The negligent one loses all. God will make the necessities of life scarce for one who forgets the truth. In the hereafter, God will forget him. Therefore, do not be negligent. Realize your own position and conditions. This is also what the Imam has said. O believers, O dear ones, listen to the story of the real man and of the miser. Keep it in mind and know that the real man, JAWANMARDI, is one who behaves as a man, who is righteous and honest, whose devotion to God, Muhabbat, is in reality greater than it appears. He is friendlier with everyone for the sake of pleasing God and not for any worldly purposes or in the hope of gaining any advantages in this world. The real man is one who in good actions is ahead of others, who tries to do and really does good, who treats the needs of his brother in religion as more urgent than his own. He gives priority to others in food and rest. So far as he can, he gives, but he does not take. If his brother in religion eats food, he feels as if he himself has eaten it. He rejoices in the joy of his brother believer and is aggrieved by his grief. The real man is one who is happy if his brother believer gains, and is aggrieved if he loses. Ordinary pebbles or precious stones are of the same value to him. No matter whether he has something to eat or not, his mind is unaffected because he is intelligent and noble-minded. The real man is one who is hospitable. This does not mean that he will be like a lion at another's table or like a fox. His face is always friendly. He has a true love for and perfect faith in the Imam of his time. He tries to attain that lasting wealth, the recognition of the Imam of the time. He is benevolent and well behaved as one should be, being kind and friendly to the friends and devotees, Ashikan of the Lord, Mawla. The qualities of a real man are such that he has the time to do all his work. Calamities will go far from him, and his enemies will be blind. His daily bread will be plentiful. He will have success and blessings in his work, which will always be successful. His children will be healthy and pious, and his house prosperous. He will always be in time to do his work, and God the All-Forgiving will help him. The help of God will mean that the mirror of his heart will not be rusty. His faith will grow stronger, and his activities will be honest. His earnings will be lawful, and it will be from lawful sources that he will spend in the way of God. His good will reach the pure spirits of the believers and faithful and pious men. Lawful earnings are not the lot of hypocrites. They will not reach the unclean spirits of such people. It is honestly earned money which will reach the blessed throne and the presence of the Lord of the time of the pious believers. Surely the Lord of the world will be pleased by that devotee, and he will be well and blessed. God the all-powerful and mighty will be satisfied by that devotee. His faith will be strong, and the mirror of his heart free from rust and strong. His body and soul will be sound, Roshan. His intelligence and comprehension will be bright, and in the hereafter the Lord of honor will grant him his great vision, Didar. There are several degrees and perfections of the virtues of the real man which are revealed to the real believers. The real man must not be talkative. He must be sincere and patient, exercising restraint and patience in all his actions, and must rely on God. In all his actions he must be persistent and persevering, except in two cases in which patience is improper and in which action must be taken at once without waiting and expecting. The latter would even be a nefarious step and a sign of unbelief. First, in the case of the chance of the Didar and vision, Lika, of the Creator, which is the most important matter, here patience is a crime, a source of error, and the cause of eternal loss. Second, in following the command and instructions of God the All-High, because obedience to truth is necessary, and patience or slowness in this matter is in substance unbelief, kafiri. One cannot exercise patience in these two matters and must never do it. Therefore thou must concentrate on affection for thy Lord, Mawla, and abstain from conceiving love for anything else, so that love for other things will not move thy heart and make it dependent on them. Whenever the hour of devotion and time for worship of the truth, the All-High, has come, leave at once whatever preoccupation thou art busy with, whether it is important or not, and hasten to do thy devotion, taking up worship by mentioning the truth without postponement. These are the conditions of being a real man, as explained. Listen to the description of the law. Bakhilan. The miser is always depressed, in a bad mood, has dark thoughts, zulumat. He is vicious, his thoughts are only turned towards his gains. He always feels uncomfortable, always has difficulties with his work, is always weighing the profits and losses in worldly matters. The light of his heart is always extinguished. His intelligence and comprehension is blind, his reason blunt, and his understanding deficient. He is entangled in the darkness of nature, suspended head downwards in the pit of ignorance. Apart from gathering property and worrying about it, and self-interest in his worldly schemes, he knows nothing. He does not know of the other world besides this, just as a worm in the mud anywhere does not know of places other than the one it is in. Hence, he does not realize the existence of food other than that which he is after. The miser, therefore, has his heart full of worries and sadness. He always feels depressed, his forehead wears a frown. His prayer is not accepted and answered by God, and his spirit always remains in darkness, being without kindness and affection. The miser does not become a friend of the believer. God, the All-High, so arranges it that the miser becomes a friend of oppressors and miscreants, because his spirit springs from them. He continuously feels depressed, deploring that his expenses are too high. No good will occur to him, and his condition will always be sinful, because God is displeased with him and dissatisfied, and therefore gives him only to associate with evildoers. All this is due to the fact that the miser does not recognize the Creator, and as the heart of the miser does not contain kindness, affection, love, as he does not sacrifice his property in the way of God, spending it for God's sake, his property becomes his own traitor. His heart is the house of the devil, and the accursed devil is in the heart of the traitor, Munafiq. Whenever a traitor is satisfied, know that it is Satan who is pleased. The traitor is pleased by those things which also please Satan. The heart of Satan and that of a traitor are the same, and they share each other's sorrows and joys. Therefore, whenever you see a traitor, Munafiq, happy, you have seen Satan happy. Whenever a man does something which gladdens Satan, darkness and obscurity, zulumat ha, appear in his heart, and the houses, khanae ha, of his heart become dark. His intelligence and reason also become darkened. Everything appears difficult to him. He feels depressed, and his reputation is spoiled. The traitor, Munafiq, is the man who does not recognize the Lord of his well-being, that is to say, the Imam of the time. And whoever does not recognize the Lord of his real well-being, Nagmah-yi Hakiki, who causes trouble to people, who aggrieves the believer's heart and is the ill-wisher of humanity, he is a traitor. The Lord Hazrati Khudawand has said that the traitor is one who does not recognize the Imam who is manifested in this world and does not obey his command and does not deliver to him the tithe of his income which is due to the Imam of the time. The traitor is one who is not at the disposal of the Imam of the time and ignores the orders and commandments of his supreme authority. Such a man is miscreant and is worthless. Even if one does millions of pious deeds, always remembers God and thinks of Him, possesses all virtues, constantly offers thanks and praise for forgiveness, and endures 1,000 forms of austerity, and yet does not recognize the Imam of his time who is always in this world, then neither his prayers, nor austerities, nor good actions will be accepted. He will be miserable and sad in this world, and in the hereafter he will be humiliated and ashamed. His place will be in hell, and instead of the water of Kawthar, the water of Shartakul will be given to him. His food will be from the tree of Zakkum of hell, whose fruit is like the heads of devils. O believers, O sincere ones, you have heard the definition of traitors, and that their happiness is the source of their darkness of mind and humiliation. Thus, from the happiness of the traitor, darkness comes out, but light, Roshanai, comes from the pleasure of the believer. Traitors are the army of Satan, but believers are the army of the merciful, Rahman. O believers, listen to these words attentively, so that you may not lose the right path. O believers, O pious ones, O dear ones, such is the position of the miser, and of the real man you have heard both. Now you must do your best in order that you may not be tardy in being ready to follow the path of truth, which is the Sirat. The miser and traitor are enemies of God, and the believer, who is a real man, is the friend of God. O believers, O pious ones, the one who casts coveting eyes on other people's wives is as if he cast coveting eyes upon his own mother and sister. We have said that whoever casts a coveting and evil eye upon any other's wife, it is as if he does the same to his own mother or sister. Surely another man's wife is like one's mother or sister. You must not cast a coveting glance, as otherwise your eyes will become impure and polluted. Treat other men's wives like your own mother. The meaning of the evil eye is this: if you covet those women who are not legally lawful to you, and fail to realize that it is the same as to covet your own mother or sister, and either may turn up in a like manner and cast coveting eyes on your wife. These are the properties of misbehavior and of the evil eye. God will cast an angry look upon such a man and such an impure individual. His affairs in this world will go wrong, and in the hereafter he will be humiliated. He will experience difficulties and worries. He will become homeless and remain always aggrieved, despised by all, humiliated, and will fail to succeed in his affairs. His appearance will be dark and unkempt. Tariq wa bi Noor. Therefore, never look at other men's wives with a coveting eye, because to do so is to misbehave and coins from the insinuation of Satan. Such matters are Satan's work. The man who does this has a hell-like face and is very wicked. God save us from this and from all those who does such things. We must avoid such people. O believers, O dear ones, if a girl looks upon an outsider covetingly, it is as if she looks in the same way upon her father or her brother. The man who is not related to her should be to her like father or brother. She should not feel anything special when looking at him, as otherwise that foolish girl will be far from that right path commanded by God. She will get into trouble and will not fulfill her spiritual aim. For this reason, if she should look covetingly upon any man, it is as if she looks in the same way upon her father or brother. God will look angrily upon such a woman, and that woman will get into trouble. She will be reduced to begging, her mind will be obscured, and the mirror of her heart will become rusty. She will never achieve happiness, but will always be distressed, miserable, and despicable in the eyes of the people, being in need of bread and clothing. This means that during the whole of her life, she will experience sadness. She will always experience difficulties in her work because she is distressed in this world, worried, unsettled, and restless. In the hereafter, her place will be in hellfire. Such is the result of wrong actions. God save us from this and from acting wrongly. Wrongful actions are very bad in themselves, whether they be performed by man or woman. Whoever acts in such a way, God will punish him severely, and he will be miserable in this world, broken-hearted, contemptible, and humiliated. In the hereafter, he will also be humiliated and be cast into hellfire, while amongst the people he will be compromised, will have bad reputation, will be miserable and contemptible, upset and bewildered. In the hereafter, he will be severely punished in the fire of the seventh hell, where he will be burned by fire. In addition to this, whenever the feet of sinful woman mentioned above enter any house, that house will become emptied, while the people who inhabit it will be scattered, and that house will never again become prosperous. O believers, O sincere ones, O dear ones, know that if, God forbid, in any house something evil is done, the fate of the inmates of that house will be sad. Their lives will go wrong, and they will become despised of no account, and their repentance will be that of those who, when they are seen, no one becomes glad, and who are humiliated. O believers, O sincere ones, O dear ones, the real believer is one who always, permanently thinks of the truth and always intends to act righteously. The real believer is one who obeys the Imam of his time, never disobeying his orders or opposing them. He always remains well behaved, polite, and acts decently in a proper manner, always remembering God. He is always busy with zikr, the thought of God, glorifying and praising Him, and recognizing the Creator. He continuously deplores his sins and weeps either from fear of punishment or an ardent desire to join the truth. Shauki Wisali Haq, in the same way as the rains of spring are the cause of the smile of the garden later on. Crying due to other causes is like an adverse, untimely and useless rain. And the real believer must always have in his heart the fear of God, walking verily to avoid both committing mistakes and sinning through evil words or actions coming from him. And the real believer must always be aware of Satan, so as not to give way to temptation in his heart, fearing the terrors of the hereafter. He must also fear the periods of unbelief which are coming into this world. He must avoid those who obey Satan and regard as devils in human form all those who help Satan, because they mutually sympathize with each other in their pagan attitude. The believer must avoid them, and neither befriends them nor associate with them, as this course will be safer for him. There are many who appear as human beings, but in reality, by their nature, are devils, preying on men, misleading everyone. But the robbers are powerless over that believer who knows his God, prophet and peer, following the truth and trusting himself to his God, his prophet and his peer, and who completely obeys them. Such brigands and enemies cannot come near and attack the believer who is obedient to God the All-High, to the prophet and his peer. The robbers seek those who do not keep before themselves God, the prophet and their peer, and who do everything without the peer's order or permission. O believers, O pious ones, now is the time when you should strengthen religion, deen, by helping each other, by trying to gain knowledge, by advancing the religious cause, and striving to make your faith complete. Gain safety by obeying the Imam of the time, and become completely obedient to his orders. Act and do everything piously. A pious act is that which is carried out in obedience to the word of the Imam. Do unhesitatingly what you are told by the blessed word of the Imam, then you will attain real salvation. Rastagari. Then follow your peer and prophet, by this following your God. Follow the Imam of the time strictly, so that he may take you under his protection, helping you, granting you victory and relief. Follow your peer and regard your association with him as a great boon. Listen to his words and act accordingly to them, because they are the words of the Imam, and if you act according to them, they will be like medicine to you. And obedience to the Imam, attention to his word, and that of the guiding peer, Pir-e-Murshid, together with his instruction, ta'aleem, followed by action in accord with these, will bring about the healing of spiritual ailments, Marzai-e-Batiniyat, and lead to soundness and clarity of the heart. And the wisdom of the teachers makes the mirror of the heart clean and shining. O believers, O sincere ones, O dear ones, whenever a believer is occupied with the mention, zikr of God, Khudawand, or is engaged in his house or elsewhere in the worship of the Creator, and is asked by an ignorant man who rejects the worship of God and has no inclination to it, "What art thou doing?" thus distracting that faithful one from his devotion. Or if such a man should mock him, saying, "Hey, so and so, thou hast become a devotee or a sheikh," or if he should show hatred by abusing him, such a shameless and hateful man will lie viewed with wrath by God. This is because that ignorant one has maliciously revealed that pious one. God will be angry with that ignorant ass, saying, "O thou negligent evildoer, why hast thou revealed my pious believer in his worship? Why hast thou aggrieved him, hindering him from the zikr and worship? Thou, by not worshipping God, hast become a traitor and evildoer. Therefore you must fear God and have a sense of shame, as otherwise God the Almighty and All-High will be very angry with you." God the All-High says, "I have created the world and created man so that he may remember me, keeping my name on his tongue and in his heart appealing to me. Then why hast thou maliciously revealed that my slave in his worship? Now that thou hast revealed this sincere slave for his worship, thou art the image of Satan, the evildoer, and thou wilt become an inmate of hell." Such is the condition and ways of associates of Satan, those who have lost the path of the truth and follow the accursed Satan and are obedient to him. They subsist on the bounty of the merciful, but obey Satan. But those who follow God recognize him. O believers, O dear ones, take another case. Supposing a learned one is explaining religious knowledge, suddenly in the assembly a hypocrite manifests himself, neglectful and ignorant of God and religion. One who has no idea of these things and is unable to distinguish between what is good and what is bad. This devilish and straying man, while present at the assembly, conceived the idea of saying something mocking the words of the teacher after he has left the lecture room, turning them into lies and exposing what he has said to ridicule. Supposing that the pure-hearted teacher goes on with his lecture, never suspecting the evil-mindedness of that devilish hypocrite and atheist, he does not know that the man is like Satan, who hides intrigue and perfidy in his heart. It would be well if the moment that the man asked a question concerning religion of the teacher, the others might ask for an explanation, and the teacher could at once tell them the meaning of the doctrine explained by him, telling that ignorant man and making his heart enlightened and at rest. But because the man is stupid, ignorant and malicious, he asks the question of the teacher and does not understand it. Then, when the teacher departs and everyone who was present at that assembly disperses, those ignorant and uneducated people meet other fools and collect them around themselves. Then these armies or Satan start revealing the teacher, mocking him and abusing him. O believers, O dear ones, whoever reviles his teacher is similar to one who reviles God himself. He commits a great sin. Whoever hears the words of the teacher is like the one who hears the words of God, Khuda. And those who find fault with him, They do so out of hatred, malice, and envy. They breed hatred in their hearts. May the curse of God be upon Satan, Satan-like people, and those who hate others. O believers, if the ignorant fool mentioned above had not had envy in his heart and had been seeking for the truth, he should have asked for an explanation of the teacher's words at once. The teacher would then have explained to him, and his heart through the knowledge of that matter would have become enlightened, soft and meek, so that he might have become a seeker after the truth. He could ultimately have become aware of the supreme truth, hakikat. His heart would have been at rest, and he could have become one of the followers of the truth, Ahle-Haq. But as that man was ignorant and stupid, as he never studied religious matters, knew nothing, and would not trust that teacher knew the truth, hakikat, ba khabar bud. For these reasons, he did not ask the teacher to explain the matter to him, and after the departure of the teacher, started ridiculing him, breeding in his heart hatred and malice against the teachers of the path of the truth in general. This is why he has ultimately committed a great sin and become an inmate of hell, just as others will who listen to him.